Good afternoon. Welcome to your weekly current affairs program. My name is Egosa Agmulao. We apologize for starting the program slightly behind schedule. It promises to be exciting, educative, and insightful as usual. We'll be dissecting a national topical issue, one that's generating reactions from the nooks and crannies of the country and also outside the shores of the country. Nigerians who reside overseas, we refer to them as Nigerians in the diaspora, concerned with what is happening, the goings on within the country. And so today's discussion, we're looking at Nigeria's governance. A lot has happened, the impact of Nigeria's governance. Under this administration led by President Muhammadu Buhari, a lot has happened. The government has fought against corruption. We're looking at that anti-corruption fight of President Muhammadu Buhari's led administration. We're looking at insecurity. How has the government failed in terms of insecurity? And of course, I know that the one on the lips of so many Nigerians is the politicking ahead of the 2023 election. We'll be looking at all of that under Nigerians' governance. How has the governance of Nigeria been? How can Nigerians' governance be improved on? How can we get governance right? How can we get leadership right? Especially as we look ahead to the 2023 general election. I have very eminent personalities with me today. I have with me a business guru and of course an analyst, Mr. Eddie Efenaye. Nice to have you today.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having
me. I have a clergyman, a highly respected clergyman. He's a regular face on television. We're talking about Dr. Emeka Ekuga. Nice to have you today.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a notary public and of course a legal practitioner, what I refer to as the voice of the women. I'm talking about Dr. Ediwewe, but it'd be nice to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Nigeria's governance is what we are looking at, and we allow Eddie Efenaye to comment because a lot has happened. Even in the university administration, we're glad to know now that some university unions, NASU and some other unions, the non-academic staff union within the university system have called off strike. They started work yesterday. That's a good one. But ASU is still on strike. How has governance affected even the educational sector? As students are home, we'll talk on this. But let's start with Eddie Efenaye. Looking at Nigeria's governance, have we gotten it right?
Well, thank you very much. Looking at governance generally, we have not gotten it right. Nothing seems to be ASU. In fact, the educational sector has been in a very bad shape in the last 5 or so many years.
Okay.
ASU has been on strike for 6 months now. We have a country where the government does not have value for education. If government had value for education, they would not have allowed this crisis to linger up to 6 months that we have. Children at home. Government is complaining about children going into all forms of vices. And yet, why would children not go into vices when for 6 months nobody is doing anything in the school system? Government is not giving priority to education. This is the only country I know where priority is not given to education. ASU, they are making illegitimate demands, whether we like it or not. It's a way forward for our educational system. Government should listen to their demands and then resolve the crisis in the educational sector once and for all.
Okay, but before I let you go, I want to differ with you. When you say this government does not give priority to education, I don't think that's right, because President has to the negotiation table. Negotiation has been ongoing. It was initially between the Minister of Labour and ASU, but later the impasse did not affect negotiation. They couldn't resolve the impasse. ASU demanded for somebody else. Now the Minister of Education Adamu is not in charge. Is that not an indication that the government is interested? That's why the government is always willing to negotiate.
Ideally, yes. Adamu is not even qualified to be the Minister of Education in Nigeria.
No, that's another topic for another.
Yeah, I don't want us to go to that now. Because he ought to be a farmer, not managing our educational system.
No,
the situation. Yes, even if you don't want to go into that, there is the bitter truth. Adamu ought to be managing something else, not education. He's the least qualified Nigerian to head the educational sector. Now, an agreement was reached some time ago in 2019. Between 2019 and 2022 is about 13 or so years. And we are coming to review an agreement you signed in 2019, in 2022. It doesn't make any sense. If you put on the table the ASU's demand, I don't think there is any aspect of ASU's demand that is not reasonable. It's just unfortunate we have a government that is not paying attention to education. Otherwise, if a government is paying attention to education, you would listen to the demands of ASU. So at this crisis, every time you see ASU going on strike, it's getting to a situation where people want to start blaming ASU. But it's not. Government should take the blame in the problem you have in the educational sector now, because they fail to meet their own aspect of the agreement they signed. If you were not going to be comfortable with the agreement, why did you have to sign an agreement? After about 13 years, you want to review an agreement you signed to your own favor. It's not acceptable.
Yeah, as a businessman, you know the importance of signing an agreement.
Yes.
Okay, I can see your point of view.
If you sign an agreement, before you signed, you knew the implication of what you were signing.
Okay.
Now, after a period, you feel that you are no longer comfortable with the agreement you signed.
Yeah, but there's always need to review. If you know you can't meet any agreement, you can review it.
Now, you want to review because they feel that they cannot meet up with some aspects of the demand, yes, in terms of the monetary side of it.
Yes.
If government can spend money on various things that are not favorable to Nigerians, why would they not put all the money in the educational sector? For example, when this 2023, in fact I call it 2023 madness, where politicians were using 100 million to buy nomination form. And yet these are the same set of people who cannot gather money to solve the problem of ASU. APC as a party, 28 aspirants bought form for 100 million. 28 of them gives you about 2.8 billion. And yet this is a government where you cannot raise money to pay solve the problem of ASU. Government spends money on things that are not necessary. But
this is just a political party.
Yes, it happens in other. Using AC as a case study, yeah, because theirs was more. PDP was about 50 million or so. Now, where are all this money coming from? It's the commonwealth of our country. Because if you look at the politicians who are buying this form for 100 million, who were they before they became governor? They were nobody. They came into office and accumulated a lot of weight, and which they are now using against us, using against our children who are supposed to be in school. If they combine all those money together and use it to solve the problem of ASU, the strike will not have lingered for 6 months. Okay. Government was not having money to solve ASU's problem, and you had money to go and pay bad vehicles for NEJ. The government is into debt, which we all know, and yet our politicians are telling us, the governor of Izumai, who said ASU cannot borrow, government cannot borrow money to pay ASU. Why would government not pay money to borrow money to pay ASU? If government can borrow money to use in things that are not necessary, it's painful and it's regrettable that we have a government that does not value education. And I keep insisting that this government does not have value for our educational system.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's the personal view of Mr. D. Efenayi. It's not the reflection of the station's view, but he's making a point, and I believe that those in government can actually get an idea from my discussions. He's saying that priority should be given to education. Our students should return back to school, no matter what it will take government to ensure that the ASU imbroglio is resolved as soon as possible, so that our teeming youths can return to school. I think that's the passion of Mr. Edi Efenayi, and I know government officials understand that. Thank you, Mr. Edi. We'll come back to you, but let's get the thought of Dr. Emeka Ekura. Yes, looking at governance generally, vis-a-vis President Muhammadu Buhari's actions, he's been fighting corruption, anti-corruption war, a lot of things. What's your assessment?
Yeah, thank you. Before I will possibly go deeper in your question, let me quickly react to Mr. Edi's contribution.
Okay.
You know, some time ago we've said this even in this very studio, that when you put a wrong person in a wrong position, you get a wrong answer.
Yes.
Where it will favor you, favor me, favor them, favor their children. When you hold somebody on the ground and the person is shouting and crying, you are the one holding the person on the ground, you have not stood up. It's also affecting you. Even though their children are in abroad studying, even though they have their children outside the country, doing well, enjoying what others have put in place, a very well-laid foundation, is also affecting them here. The last time I heard them when they talk about insecurity, most of them were finding a way to run away. That was why the lawmakers, those in the House of Assembly and the Senate and the House of Representatives, were now crying out, want to impeach Buhari, want to impeach Buhari. If that took this move earlier, we'll have been able to achieve two things. But they were all compromising, being there for nothing. You can assess how much they pay them. I've not seen anything they have done in the past, up to tomorrow. Why are they crying out now? Because they felt the thing is almost close to them. For the terrorists or the bandits or whatever you call them, come close to the seat of the nation, has the seat of the nation, Abuja, Aso Rock, close to Aso Rock. From Zuma Rock to Aso Rock is not up to 45 minutes drive. That to say the country has failed in governance. And that's why I see them now crying out. But we will get there by the grace of God. The truth is that in the past 7 years and some months, the federal government managed by APC as a party has not done anything well to this nation. Instead of taking us forward, they took us backwards, 10 times backwards. Whether in education, whether in security, whether in a farming or food production or whatever, you see hunger everywhere. Hunger everywhere. Hunger everywhere. You see things going higher and higher every day. You can't go to the market.
And you're talking about prices now, prices of goods and commodities.
Prices of goods and commodities. You cannot buy something today and smile. It's impossible. No matter whatever you are buying. Thank God Mr. D is a businessman. And Mama here is also a
notary public. Yes, a legal practitioner.
Yes, a legal practitioner. You can be able to, maybe if there is a law that is attached to this, you can defend it for us. And Mr. D as a businessman, you can testify. If you go to your business, what you saw last in the past 14, 15 years ago, you see what we are saying today?
No.
Yes, I know we are moving forward. We as we aged, so we see new things every day. But I come to discover that even if you are aging, things are supposed to be easier for us. But instead of things being easier, it become harder. It become very, very hard. So the government of President Muhammadu Buhari for the past 7 years has never made any input, any good, remarkable things as this country nation is concerned. You made a statement referring to vehicles that were bought to Niger Republic. Whether you will tell us it is our view now, because this is a media that you own explanation to Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. We agree with that, but the truth must be told, must be said. If the buying of those vehicles to Niger Republic is a fact in this nation, you calculate the amount that was wasted in buying security vehicles to aid a security issue in another country, and the issue in your country has not been taken care of. go to the northeast, go to the southeast, go to the south, you discover that there is nothing like security in this nation. People are being killed every day, every day, every day. 100%, I will say 100% of administration of the Federal Republic of Nigeria being led by Muhammad Buhari is a West.
I agree with you because
you will disagree.
Yeah, some persons will not have that kind of opinion you are having.
You will disagree because maybe
because the issue of Niger Republic you just mentioned, yes. The government has made it a public statement.
Yes,
that one is not Buhari's government that has donated to another country. It's not Buhari's government, President Muhammadu Buhari's government or President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is not the first in the history of Nigeria to have donated or to have supported another country. I'm coming. Now, they've made it clear that it's part of security strategies.
Exactly.
The enemies come from other countries.
Yes.
So they're also strengthening that country to tackle insecurity from their end.
Were you privileged to see the type of vehicles they bought?
Mr. D?
Mr. Agbola.
No,
were you privileged to see the kind of vehicles?
I was supposed to ask you
police. You are not to ask those sort of vehicles.
Have you taken inventory of the vehicles of Nigeria police?
No, Mr. Agbola, I know where you are. I know what you are trying to.
We don't have to. I want us to be very objective and factual.
We are very objective, and you know it's a fact. I know what we are trying to. It's good you defend your own. It's good, especially your management. I agree with you. As long as our nation, Nigeria, which all of us belongs to, is concerned. Anywhere we go tomorrow, we have a home called Nigeria, whether shattered or not shattered. We have a home called Nigeria. And if you and I cannot be able to put things right on our own capacity, that means we contributed while the government is still failing. And our capacity is where we are now today. By the grace of God, a lot of people are listening to us, they are watching. And this is the capacity we can be able to make our input. And I believe the president is, if he's not watching, Garba Shehu is also watching. He should be able to, react to this. You call it allegations here. Let's assume we are alleging Mr. President, Garba Shehu and the rest of them, the cabals who comes together to construct lies against the nation of Nigeria. And the people are clapping, following them. Let them react to all this. We'll be glad if they react, and I believe there are masses who will also make calls, who will also write in social media, whether in Twitter or in WhatsApp or in Facebook. They will write. Thank God for social medias today. They will write and they will reply. But I bet you they will not. The reason is because they know what they were doing is satanic. Let me use that language. It's satanic. They have put this country to a mess.
I wouldn't want you to use that kind of word.
Okay, let me apologize to Nigerians if I said that
please don't use that kind of word. Yes.
It's satanic.
You can make your observation.
My observation.
In every government,
yes,
or in any administration,
it's worse in this season.
No, in any administration, you have the positives and you have the negatives.
Why must we have the negatives?
No, life is like that. Advantages and life is like that. Now, if you observe any area government need to improve, yeah, you can state it's allowed, and I believe that government will surely improve.
Well, we're talking about the governance. In the security, they failed us. In education, they failed us. In production, they failed us. Nothing is working. Which of the states in Nigeria are into production now and we're getting it right? You go to those who are into farming, you see that the headsmen and what have you has never given them an opportunity to go to the farm, how much more to harvest. Food scarcity everywhere in the nation. So where else can we say that the country, the present administration of leadership of the country has helped Nigerians? Are we talking about electricity? Are we talking about road? I told you that I traveled and I was coming, trying to see if I can meet up. I got to Onitsha, I stopped down. I was stopped in Onitsha by slow moving. And right at that very present, a trailer jumped in my vehicle. I told you.
Yeah.
What caused it? Assuming the road is good.
But the government is planning to build the second Niger bridge.
The second Niger bridge is not yet completed. The one that we are passing, we are managing. Why can't you fix it for us? Have they succeeded in that area? We are talking about the one we've not seen.
They are on it.
They are on it.
Ongoing.
Ongoing. I like you sometimes. Sometimes, you're my friend sometimes. Ongoing. But the one we already have now is impassable. Okay, go on, nature. Okay, let's talk about Ipinero here. We are going to East. Go to Ipinero. Before you pass a spot where you have whether Jehovah Witness whatever there, almost 1 hour. Go to Abuja. Abuchi, people might be people might here. Check our roads. Take a look in our roads. Why all this killing accident and what have you? Why bandits? If the road is good enough, will the bandits be bold enough to stand on the road? You will see hold up and checkpoints all over. Security men are supposed to be going around because they're not being taken care of. They will position one place, cause more hold-ups, collecting small things.
Okay. Dr. Emeka, I want to thank you. We'll come back to you. But before we go on a break, let's get the opening remarks of a notary public in our midst, Dr. Eboigwe. Now, looking at governance, we're taking a holistic approach to governance in Nigeria. What's your own take?
Well, generally, originally, a democratic government is supposed to be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And there are a plethora of indexes to actually analyze and see the efficacy of any government. Unfortunately, sadly, Nigeria has fared extremely poorly. Presently, we are experiencing massive. Everybody is leaving. All the best brains are leaving. Youths are leaving. Professionals are all leaving the country. Insecurity is at its highest level. The primary purpose of any government is supposed to maintain security of lives and properties. In Nigeria, people die wantonly. People die anyhow, as if human life doesn't matter. And unfortunately, it's getting worse. All forms of insecurity, you have those of Boko Haram, herdsmen, cultism, kidnappers, ritualists in only one country. Human life is no longer sacred. Government has failed in its pivotal role of ensuring security, and that is the greatest problem and the greatest bane and failure of this present government. Look at inflation. Prices are going so high. No employment, our youths are graduating, no form of employment in any way. They are just graduating to the labor market with no form of survival or sustenance. They are being pushed into crime. You now see the younger ones saying education is a scam. They are now going into Yahoo Plus, rituals, 14, 15, 16. All our moral values have collapsed. In terms of economy, Nigeria is owing so much. Unfortunately, look at the priority of government. You have not taken care of your security situation in Nigeria. You are going to take care of other countries. People are dying. People are being kidnapped. Human lives are being wasted. Intellectuals are being killed. You are not putting conscientious effort to see that these challenges are being averted. Rather, you are going out there. Your children are schooling abroad. While those in Nigeria, Nigerians cannot even enjoy successful education. For over 6 months, academic staff union of universities have been on strike. Undergraduates are at home. Practically, almost one session is gone and wasted. And the government is not seeing anything wrong with this. Can this happen in an advanced country like America?
Okay, that's a $1 million question. We'll just interject there. We'll come back to you, but that will be immediately after this break. Okay, so it's a delight to have you back, and also we are glad that you are spending your 60 minutes with us on the program, and some of you just joining us, you're spending part of your 60 minutes with us on the program known as 60 Minutes Nigeria, a current affairs program where we dissect national issues. And we are looking at Nigeria's governance. It is a holistic approach to the governance of this country. And Dr. Edowo just talked about that some youths now have a very wrong perception of education, and they now call education a scam. She is a lecturer too. How do you mean? You need to explain that. You mean our youth see education as a scam? How would it? That is very disturbing.
Generally now, when they graduate, there is no form of employment waiting for them. They see their senior ones graduating, no form of employment. Those ones are frustrated. When they try to even go into business, they are being troubled by all forms of taxes. So they look at it, what was now the essence of going to school? When we were young, they told us education is the key. But now they have said they have changed the key. So when you get education, you come out, there is no job, except you have connections. So the younger ones, their moral perspective of education has collapsed, and they feel there is no need going to school. They should start making the money now, and you see them dropping out of school. And it is sad at our hospitals, generally, any government provision of social amenities, hospitals, education, this is supposed to be basic rights of citizens, but it's no longer the case. Why can't our president have his children school in Nigeria? Why must they all go abroad to study? Because they have collapsed our educational system, and this is the only means the masses, the poor masses like me and you can get an education. They have finally collapsed it. Over 6 months, lecturers have been on strike. Look at the medical sector. Doctors are traveling out. They are all bailing out. Medical tourism. Best brains are leaving.
The Minister of Health, let me interject again. The Minister of Health, Dr. Hanere, only on Wednesday informed Nigerians that yes, he's aware of some medical doctors or health practitioners leaving the shores of Nigeria. Yes, that they have enough Nigerians that they can also employ. So that's on that. You react to it. Then you talked about the federal government. Federal government did not deliberately want to collapse the education system. It's that there's a negotiation that has not yielded dividends. We must put it in the right perspective. If the government is not willing to negotiate with ASU, would have blamed government. But for the fact that they are willing to negotiate with ASU, and they are...
Look at the scenario.
Yes.
Ordinarily, as a president, your children should school in Nigeria. You should believe in your own country. But the reverse is the case.
But there's no law that forces the president or political official that children must go to Nigeria. No, let me actually say lawyer. Is there any law that states that President Buhari's children must attend school in Nigeria? Or political officials that must attend?
By example.
The constitution is there. The governor of Kaduna State at the time boasted that his children is there.
Opinion.
Yes, she has to give her own opinion on that. Because she's the one that said it.
Under our present legislation,
yes,
there is no law.
Okay. So
prohibiting our leaders from sending their children abroad to go to school.
Yes.
But the truth is that under international law, we posit equality of all human beings. All human beings are equal. What is good for the goose should be good for the gander.
Okay.
If you are the president and you believe in the Nigerian educational system, you believe in our health sector, you should not travel abroad for medical care. Your children should not school abroad. But because you believe that this system is not effective enough to take care of your problems, you go abroad. What about the poor man that cannot afford going abroad for studies, that cannot afford going abroad for healthcare? The truth is that lives are being wasted on a daily basis. You see doctors going on strike time and time again, and nothing is being done. Our priorities are really not prioritized at all. Government is spending so much taking care of political office holder. What is the impact of their government on Nigerian citizens? How have they helped? How have they helped the position of the average man in society? You go to market, inflation, we are now facing food insecurity. Food is now becoming a very scarce commodity. If you go to market, 1 tube of yam is 1.5. If you are not gainfully employed, you are poor. How do you accept? All of this goes ahead to what further promote crime in Nigeria, all kinds of vices. So the government, in all sense of honesty, the government has fared extremely poorly. And the only aspect where they have done to actually now punish Nigerians is in the area of taxes. Once you come out, once you are driving, you see people on different kinds of uniform carrying sticks as though we are living in the jungle. It has degenerated to that level. Ordinarily, you pay taxes when government is offering you, giving you services that are useful to you. But what we see abandoned projects everywhere. If rain falls, you can't pass through Selu Lagos Road. You will remain there. But everywhere, when you want to pass, they are collecting taxes. When you are driving, they are collecting taxes. Making it a nuisance. And you are paying so much, government is doing nothing. The truth is that Nigeria has really fared poorly. And we cannot continue like this. Whether you like it or not, we are losing our best brains. Abroad, When they train you, you stay there and you impact your knowledge in the society. Here, once you are trained, you are looking for the next means of leaving the country, and we are not seeing anything wrong. It is very, very bad, and no country can survive without education. The government should go back, look, prioritize its needs. Politicians that are being so well paid, what of those that are training them? How are they faring? We should go back to the drawing board.
Thank you very much. No, before I come to you, okay, Professor make a quick one. I can see you.
Yes. Dr. made a statement here.
Yes.
That Nigeria operates in the system of government of the people, for the people.
Yes.
And
by the people.
By the people. And you will agree with me that that aspect of governance has been defeated for long. So before.
Yes.
I came in alone to this place just because I'm just a common man. President Buhari cannot go to his own state, Katsina, from Abuja on road. And even if he goes on air, before he gets to his own village, to his own state, you will see the state flooded with all manner of insecurity men, the soldiers, the DSS, the police, the civil defense, the what do you call the other one? NDD, whatever.
Okay.
You see all of them. Yes, civil defense. You see even the local vigilante. They will line up everywhere to secure one man. Why is he afraid? If he has gotten it right.
No, he's not afraid. It is his right.
He's right.
Yes.
To gather the Nigerian security personnel to his state as a right. If he has gotten it right, he will flee to the state. Nobody will know. He will get his state and he will be able to mingle with brothers and sisters, and he will go back.
You will hear that the president was here yesterday.
He was here yesterday, and people saw him.
Okay.
Likewise, other government functionaries. The government of Nigeria.
I know where you are going to. The former British Prime Minister of the UK.
Using bicycle.
What's his name again? Boris Johnson. The social media was awash before it was removed, using a bicycle. I know that's where we are going to. Nigeria is not as developed as the UK.
What makes Nigeria not to be developed?
Nigeria is called a developing country.
Developing.
Yeah, while the UK is a developed country. We'll come back to you, Dr. Leka. Let's get the thoughts of Mr. Eddie. Now, you have been able to berate the governance of Nigeria. You've been able to mention a lot of problems. Now, if you were asked to offer advice on how governance can be gotten right in this country, what would be your advice?
It depends on the area you are looking at.
Take any area of your choice.
Now, let's look at kind of system we are operating.
Okay.
The kind of democracy. It's such an expensive type of democracy.
Okay.
Government seems to be spending so much money on political office holder. Nigeria is the only country where a councillor earns more than a professor. I sat with a friend of mine the other day and we were calculating what a senator earns. The salary of a senator for 4 years is the equivalent of the salary of a professor for about 35 years. Take your calculator and look at it. And it's so sad that somebody spends 4 years as a senator and then its emolument is pay equals to what a professor who has attained the highest level of education, what a professor will earn for 35 years.
I'm not holding brief for the senators, the members of the House of Representatives, or political office holders, councillors, and whatever. But the a senator spends hugely during campaigns, spends hugely before he gets elected, and he will just stay there for 4 years. Don't you think? What he has spent? Some they borrow money from take loan from the bank, sell property, and all of that. You must also consider that. Professor is not doing that.
The issue of corruption, I mentioned in this program some time ago.
Yes.
That it is charge on the part of government to say you want to fight corruption. Politicians use 100 million to buy APC nomination form.
Nomination, not ticket.
Now, what is the salary of a governor for 4 years? Or what is the salary of a president for 4 years in office? Now, if you can afford to use 100 million, by the time you get to office, you must first of all recover back your 100 million and all other expenses. So you now find that the system we are operating gives room for corruption itself. There are so many things in our system where corruption, for example, the issue of security votes. Now, a security vote is not accountable by either the governor, the local government chairman, or the president. They have their prerogative as a governor, as a president, to spend the security votes in the way and manner they like. And yet, if they tell you the amount that is voted for security in each state, and yet we still have a lot of security challenges. If you get to a checking point and see the kind of vehicle our Nigerian police they are using, that is why I keep on saying, why will government buy so much vehicle for Niger and you cannot buy for your own country to police the system? So we need to reorientate ourselves to be able to change the way things are done in this country. Government is spending so much more on political office holders. Other areas where government ought to direct their finances are wasted on political office holders. The system we are operating is not in our own interest at all because it's so expensive. The presidential system, the governor of a state, for example, of political this, political that, assistants, all manners of appointees. And by the time you look at their emolument, is huge. So government should look for a way to reduce money on political office holders so that such money can be channeled in especially education. Okay. The way forward in any society is education. The country, you are saying London and other countries are developed. They are developed because they got their educational system right. Until we invest in our educational system, problems.
Thank you very much.
And the government too should also people should appoint people who have the prerequisite to fit into an office. A situation where you appoint a lawyer as a minister of works. It can only happen in Nigeria, it cannot happen somewhere. Or you combine 3 ministries together and then put one person as a minister. When one person was minister what they call it? Works. It did not succeed. Power. It did not succeed. Housing. It did not succeed. You combine the 3 of them and give it to one person.
Maybe Tom was a mega man.
Okay.
Mega brain, mega abilities.
No,
such things could only happen in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's come to Dr. Odurogo because he's from the university system. Once you talked about that youth refer to education as a scam, I'm still perturbed. I'm still disturbed. You know, sometimes somebody is good to acquire education. It's good to acquire degrees, master's degree, PhD, PSc, and whatever. But now you have in Nigerian education system, you have somebody who has a degree in electrical engineering. He cannot do connections in his house. He cannot do electrical connections in his house. He will go and get a roadside man, a roadside electrician to do electrical connections. So don't you think the education system is really not producing the kind of manpower needed for the development of Nigeria? The Nigerian engineering corps of the Nigerian army is a special corps. You see that they can do bridges. But most times they don't come out. But sometimes they go to, I'm coming. Sometimes they go to certain communities, very obscure communities. Communities that have problems. They just go there. The engineering corps of the Nigerian army, they go and construct for them. either construct a bridge for them or do something wonderful, or the medical corps. You see, they're doing wonders. I'm talking about Nigerian Army. Now you have graduates from Nigerian university system. Most of them fail in discharging their duties. So, Doctor, what is the problem? Okay, you want to answer? Okay.
It's the practical aspect.
Yes, that I'm talking about.
It's the practical aspect of the educational system. Now, for example, as a civil engineer, there are some periods you are supposed to be in school.
Okay.
And there are some periods you are supposed to go on industrial attachment and all that. But most of these students don't pay much attention
in the practical.
The other day, I had the contract and I wanted to employ a civil engineer. The engineer graduated from Ambrosaliu University.
No, don't mention the university. No, you don't know that
university. Yes. And then in the process of interviewing the engineer, I asked, what is an expansion joint? Do you know that the engineer was just looking at me and he could not explain to me what expansion joint means in the building? Or at what point do you introduce an expansion joint in construction? Any building that is more than 33 meters long, you have to have expansion joint. An expansion joint is a wall, two walls in between a building. But the engineer could not explain because he didn't take the issue of practical serious. But here you still have very few of them, very many of them who still come out good system.
Okay.
We are celebrating most of our doctors today because many of them took the issue of their asthmatic and training serious. So it all depends on the individual students.
Okay. Thank you. Doctor, you need to make your contribution.
Well, it all boils down to our leadership. They say when the head is bad, when the head is sick, the many parts of the body will be sick. Nigeria is operating on a mediocre system that promotes mediocrity instead of meritocracy. Look at our system. Look at all the political offices. Look at our parastatals. Majority of our parastatals are headed by a certain aspect of Nigeria, predominantly the northern Nigerians, Muslims. Over 50% are headed by northerners.
But they are educated. They are educated. They have acquired education.
Don't forget, this is a federal system of government. It is a federal system of government whereby every aspect of the federation should be represented. A system whereby you are given a position based on who you know and not what you know. And this is the mindset of our youth. They believe now that if they graduate, if they don't have connection, they can't get jobs. They see those that graduated with beautiful results, no jobs. So what is the motivation? When the head is bad, the body will suffer. And these are some of the reasons why you see ASU, they are fighting for over 6 months, they've not gotten their salaries. They are fighting to rescue the educational system. But because those at the top do not see the relevance, their children are out there studying, the facilities are not there, and they don't care because their children are getting the best abroad. That is why we are seeing what we are seeing today. When graduates will now graduate, and some of them cannot write letters. And to be honest, all this is part of the decadence in the society. A system whereby malpractice is almost now the norm, even at the primary and secondary school levels. You see secondary schools arranging special center, special this. At the end of the day, can you put something or nothing and expect to stand? A student that was practically taught during his WAEC and NECO, how do you want him to go to university and fail? So when the foundation is bad, it remains bad. Our teachers, proprietors, they should go back to the drawing board. Not because you want to get more students. You now have, I was privileged to visit a center during when they were writing WAEC. I almost cried. I had to leave so that I don't go and embarrass. What I saw was depressing. At the end of the day, these ones are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. Nigeria should operate on the merit system. If you deserve it, you get it. But because we have failed to do that, that is why we are where we are today. You put your friend as the head of this, you put your friend this, you do everything, you don't care. We are where we are today. Everything has collapsed. Insecurity is at its highest low. You can't move at night. You can't travel by road. Now traveling by air is so high because nobody wants to travel by road anymore. Look at fuel. These are the things that the basic Nigerians should have access to. Now fuel is 165 officially, but when you go out there, you buy for 180, 200. Government has failed us. Nigerians have also failed themselves. If at the primary school level, when they are writing first school leaving certificate, you see proprietors bringing teachers to teach them. Even those that cannot write, they have people writing for them. These are things you can verify. Why students don't read, they feel one. At the end, you want to bring out exemplary students. It's not possible. So you that is a father, you that is a mother, take your child to school where they will not teach the child. If the child fails once, he will learn the necessity of being serious. And then when students know that after graduating, all they need to get a job is connection, how do you want them to study well? When they know if my father is in this position, I can get this. The person that got first class that is not connected will be out there teaching from one private school to the other. So all of these, all these decades are the failures of our government.
Thank you very much. Closing remarks, Dr. Emeka, a quick one.
Well, we've said it all.
Yes.
There is no way we can get it right in this dispensation of President Muhammadu Buhari.
No, I don't want you to. I don't want to be personal. Please don't be personal. Be general. You want Nigeria to be a great country. I'm interested in Nigeria being a great country. I'm not happy with the insecurity. I'm not happy with the decadence, moral decadence, which Dr. Duro talked about.
I cannot talk the way Dr. Edo talked.
Yes,
talk the way.
Yes, but I want you to tell us how can Nigeria move forward.
My closing remark.
Yes.
2023.
Okay.
Nigerians should be able to put the right person to lead this country, Nigeria.
Okay.
Don't vote because you're a member of this party. Vote because you are capable of doing what you're supposed to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Closing remark, quick one.
Well, we all pray that we should get it right.
Okay.
In 2023.
Yes.
We have all suffered enough. We have prayed enough, and we are looking on to continue to pray that God will hear us this time, because nothing seems to be working. Nothing seems to be working.
Thank you.
We pray that 2023 Nigerians would put on their thinking cap and needful, so that this issue of insecurity, challenges, as a matter of fact, Nigeria is on the borrowed time, because we, like the medical people will say, they will tell you somebody is sick, is in coma. I think Nigeria is in economic coma now.
Thank you, Mr.
We need somebody to bring us out of that.
Thank you, Mr. Coma. Yes, time is not always our friend of the program. And but I want to thank my guests. My guests are very wonderful. Mr. DFNI, thank you very much. Dr. Emeka Akuga has been very wonderful. I know you would have needed an additional 30 minutes so you can really explain. But thank you very much. Dr. Duro, thank you. And my viewer, thanks for being a part of this week's edition of the program. My name is Erosa Agbanlao. Do have a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye-bye.